All right, everybody, welcome to Rev of Crypto's State of Bitcoin address, so to speak. And I've got two special guests with me tonight from the Hopped On Crypto crew. My fellow analyst, also known as Laura Lee and Lord Ray. And you'll hear me call them James and Mitch, respectively. So, guys, welcome.
Appreciate that.
Good night, traders. Thanks for the introduction, Rev.
And we're going to be talking tonight about different states of Bitcoin and whatnot. And everybody sit back and relax. This could go long, but we're going to talk about as many coins as we can get in. And hopefully everybody will get a better understanding where we're at right now with Bitcoin and alt prices altogether in general. So, James, looking at what we got right now on BTC, you know, we've had several discussions today between the three of us. Where do you see the state of it right now from your perspective?
So, Rev, as we discussed today, I think right now we're still at indecision point. We looked at Bitcoin every which way over the last week or so, or maybe a little bit more. As you can see for myself, basically I'm looking at a possible fifth wave in a downward trend. Now, I mean, we could go further down a little bit from here and go make a double bottom near the 9,100 mark, or if this is really a fifth wave down, then we could be heading to the fib extension near the 8,000, which would also be a nice psychological number at the round number there. Or we have pulled back again from our impulse wave this morning, going to test the top of that trend wall. And if we can find some momentum back to the upside and some buyers, we might have to see if we can break out of that top trend wall again.
Well, at this point, I mean, you know, once again, we're shooting from the hip. Man, I want everybody out there to understand that, you know, that we're speculating like everybody else is. And while some things give us indications on which way it will go, it's definitely not 100%.
No, I think that's absolutely right. I mean, we talked about it all day, and I mean, there's so much indecision. I mean, this is it right now. We're at decision point. Do we make another low, and do we continue moving downwards, or do we try to break out of that downwards trend again and maybe move upwards for a nice little trend up?
Yeah, but overall, I mean, Bitcoin should be bullish just because its initial run up to 20,000. You know, we're still like halfway to go. So normally when you have the initial run up, that sets the tone for what's probably going to happen next in the long term.
I think Rev, you have quite a positive view on Bitcoin as far as a medium to long term perspective.
Yeah, and I'm looking, as everybody knows, that I take the long approach on Bitcoin, just because I don't trade day to day as often as I would like, especially into cryptocurrency. But my predictions all along that it was going to go back up. It was going to go back up to, 25,000, 28,000 by mid-February or by the end of February. And that's the position that I've taken on it. But if we look at the RSI down here, on the 1 day chart on my chart here, it is, it's being oversold. And with that being said, we can see down here that it's trending down somewhat. Let me erase this. But this is what I'm looking at, and I'm looking for it to snap back. As we can tell over here on the 90, it's up at 90%. So when this happened, it was way, way, way overbought. So that's the reason why we seen the market make its correction up here and caused it to snap back down. And with that being said, I mean, all this has been healthy in my opinion, guys. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think that was to be expected. We saw the MACD divergence there at that massive double top. The first top being the massive wick that we see around 19,700, and then we pull back a little bit, try it again, but we see that the MACD is making a lower low in the histogram there at the bottom that Rev is circling. So that is what we call a MACD divergence, and that is a sign that if the trend is not yet over, it is getting close. So it's time to start either scaling out or completely selling your position.
Okay, now with your nifty new drawing tool that we come up with tonight, show that on your chart there, if you would, James.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Bitcoin got really extended from its 50-day moving average when it was on that run, and so the further an equity, whether it's a candle or a stop, gets away from its moving averages, the more elastic it becomes, and so the higher and more extended you become, it's like the harder the drop's going to be. So it coming back to these levels normalizes the coin, and yeah, it gives it healthy consolidation for a bullish long term. So
yeah, the bigger and the faster the run up, well, then it's probably going to be the same thing on the way down. So Rev is going to add some fibs on there, I believe, or I'm going to put that on.
Yeah, you put that on. I'm on you right now, James.
Yep.
If you wanted to show what you were talking about on the MACD with the epic pin there, so we can kind of see what you were talking about just a second ago. So if you wanted to try to draw on it, I didn't know with your epic pin.
Yep, I'll do that. So as you guys can see here, we make this higher top or higher high, and then we make another higher high right here. But look at our MACD here. Our MACD histogram makes quite a good momentum push here, but when we're doing a higher high on the price action, we're actually making a lower high on the MACD. So that is a good indication, and that can happen at the bottom of a trend to or move. So a lot of people will ask us, well, how do you know when it's about time to get out of a position or start scaling out? Well, that is one way to use that, and in combination to the RSI. So on the RSI, you are also getting an RSI divergence. Higher high for your first top, then we go higher on the price chart, but we're making a lower high on the RSI, both at the time when we're way overbought, as Rev already pointed out. So this is a daily chart, by the way. So that was happening back then, and that was indication to us that the move was almost over and maybe time to get out.
Okay, I got a question over here, and like I said, guys, the questions over in YouTube live chat there, we're kind of in a delay, so if I don't get to your questions right away, you can also ask the question over on the Discord channel, which you can find a link to the Discord in the description below this live stream. But Joey King asked, when we were talking about this was a healthy correction, I'm assuming, but he said most people disagree with that. When it goes up fast, it usually goes down very slow.
Well, I'd say that most market corrections are always faster than the move up. It's just what happens because you start getting some panic selling and maybe some margin calls happening. So it's just kind of a snowball effect. And it usually, even if you check the stock market or whatnot, the move down is usually more precipitous than the move up.
Well, and here's our first thing, and we talked about this too today, guys, and Ray, you can feel free to jump in on this at any time as well. You know, Edwin Jimenez says that there's no support once it goes down. I don't know where he's seeing that, but there's plenty of support below us, and but he's saying that's why he sees it dropping hard to at least 8K-ish, and I just don't see that. I don't see that happen.
Yeah, so if you focus on my chart, I went to the 4-hour and zoomed in a little bit, and we had checked the possibility of being in a downward trend where we had seen clear 1, 2, 3, 4 wave pattern, and that we could be in the 5th wave down. But if that's the case, we still have that massive bottom that started our 4th wave up. And so if we come back, and this is near a very big round number at around 9,000, that's your support right there, at least for the first one. And then we have our fib extensions around the 78 or maybe 8,000. And if we use that blue line that's here at the same spot, and if I go back to a one-day chart, we'll see that it lines up with previous resistance before we really broke out in a parabolic move on the run up to the all-time highs on Bitcoin. So
yes.
you see how that lines up here. Here gets touched twice after we broke through it. But the first time we hit it back then in November, on November 8th, we hit it and then we pulled back, we tried again, pulled back a little bit, and then we broke through, retested our old resistance and found support twice. And then it was a massive run up from there, like really parabolic. So your old resistance on the way down now becomes support. And the opposite can also be true if you were looking at a downward move or an upward move in the opposite direction. So yeah, that number is also just below the $8,000 mark. So, I mean, and if it's a 5th wave that we're seeing in the 4-hour or the 1-hour, it does have to go a little bit further down than a wave 4 if it really is a wave 5. But I mean, we can't say that it doesn't have any support. I see plenty of opportunity for support.
Well, we have another, and I just really like to see these guys' take on things. You know, there's one comment that was made in the chat, and I think it's so funny. Take all chart readings like you would a palm reading.
Oh yeah, I get that question quite often, and I mean, you can think what you want, but I think Rev has been doing this for over 20 years. I have 14 years trading experience, and to me, leaving a chart blank is a bit like going to build a house without an architect having a plan prepared for you. I mean, you're going blind. I don't know how you're going to be able to trade if you don't use tools or things on the chart that might indicate what is playing out in the markets. And a lot of people will say, well, it's just lines on the chart. But to me, the lines are just a way to quantify trading psychology, market sentiment, market dynamics, and all those nice things. So, I mean, we use them every day. You're more than welcome to come in and discuss it with us live on the Discord community. We do it all the time. And we look at things like this every day. And all those things that we chart are pretty well respected. Now, should you only trade one indicator and think that it's the be all end all? No, and on each indicator on its own will not work. And even then, indicators and even a confluence of indicators don't always work all the time 100%. You have to just, as a trader, put the odds in your favor and play a game of probabilities. And so that's what we do. And we get paid to basically take risk and manage risk. And basically, I mean, we have to take a risk to be able to make money. That's what it comes down to. But we do it in a calculated way with the tools that we have.
And I couldn't explain that much better. Taking one more question from the chat. Everybody wants to know how the fib levels can help find an entry and exit point on a trade.
It's profit taking. It's like reasonable profit taking levels. So if you go into a trade without knowing like when you're going to sell, you're just kind of like, you're not really trading. You have to have a goal. And so like a lot of people look at those levels like, I'm going to take 50% profit here of this retracement.
Yeah, I mean, for me, fibs are a little bit the same way as going to the store and seeing discounts, right? So if you go to the store and you see a TV that's 25% on sale, you might be interested in it, but you might not buy it right then and there. But if it goes to 50% and even 80%, then yeah, you're probably going to jump on that deal and buy that TV. And so it's a bit the same idea in the markets. And the reason why people tend to jump in. Now, that's a reason. And the other reason is, of course, because fibs are used, a lot of people will jump in at those levels. So there is some sort of self-fulfilling prophecy there. But I also don't believe that it's just that. It is just human psychology at play that says, well, okay, if Bitcoin was at 20,000 and it's retraced 50% and now it's at 10,000, well, it might be a good time to buy, right? So that's usually what plays out. It's just quantified in the fibs. And for those who are asking how we draw them, which settings we use, we are going to prepare something in the near future where we go through those with you, maybe like just a trading and education session specifically for that, and any other subject that you want us to cover more in depth. So I think that's one of the tools that we get a lot of questions on. We see them used in either in a different manner or in the wrong way quite often. And we've come up with a way to really use them nicely and also use them for price targets when our patterns break in the direction that we're looking at, or even if we want to see extensions of certain moves. So that's what we use them for, and they are pretty accurate. So like, for example, if we trade a falling wedge or a rising wedge, normally the target that's hit the most with a higher probability is your 618 fib retracement. So that's one setup that we use quite often. Now, will it always make it to the 618? Not 100% of the time. Will it make it further than the 618 and make it to the 786 or make it to the all-time highs or new highs? Yeah, it does happen. Yeah, it does happen. So, I mean, depending on your personal preference, how you're comfortable with managing your risk and your profits, well, then you can scale in and scale out. And those are always certain things that we plan ahead of time. So when we plan our trade, before we even take a trade, we want to know where those targets are at and where maybe our stop loss is at, so that we can see if the trade even makes sense in a reward to risk ratio sense. If we're going to take more risk than what we stand to gain, then we don't take the trade. And if we don't know where we are likely to exit, we also don't take the trade, unless, of course, you're a long-term holder of these coins and you want to do it that way. That we understand, and that's a different type of trading.
You can have two positions, a long-term position and a short-term position. So
absolutely.
And we discussed this today too. The term swing trader is a very loosely word, so to speak, in our community, and we want to shine a little bit of light on that right now.
Basically, we discussed that today. So I think, every type of trading is to a lot of new traders is sometimes confused. So basically, if you're talking about swing trading, you're talking about trades that will last from at least a few hours, if not a day, two, and maybe a week or two. That's really swing trading. You shouldn't look at swings during a day that you're trading on, like the swings up and down during the day, as a swing trading. That's not really it. If you're only trading and you're closing all your positions within that same day all the time, that's day trading. If you're day trading but you're really on the short time frames and you're looking for small moves, that would be scalping. And then if you're really long term and you want to go longer term than swing trading, you'd be looking at positional trading, if that makes sense to all of you.
Looking at pivots, where can you pivot, make the move on that?
Yeah, entry positions, right?
Right.
Top and bottom levels of support and resistance.
There's a lot of terms that we use in the trading world, and I'm gonna switch over to Mike because somebody asked a question over here. I do most of my trading off the RSI, and some people use MACD, and I do a combination of both, and then I use a combination of three things. I use volume, and I mean there's so many different indicators, but what I don't want people to get in their head, okay, and this is a very, very important play here. If you get too many indicators, trying to trade off of too many indicators at one time, you get what I call indicatoritis, and you're just trying to process too much information by too many different indicators. Find you a happy medium and work with it. These guys, they like to use Fibonacci, and I'm gonna get James or Ray to set up a Fibonacci and show you where to put your anchor points and everything here in just a little bit. But we just wanted to get some of these out of the way. But if you look on my chart here on the BTC on the 1 day, these are entry levels, folks, down here on the RSI. Down here at this one particularly where I got my crosshairs, that would be entry level. This one up here at the top, that's where you would be selling at. Okay, I mean, it's common sense.
Ooh, XMR development. My alert went off.
Uh-oh. But I mean, there's so many different ways that you can look at things from a different perspective. But, a lot of people don't, the movement of the RSI, they don't take into the consideration. These is almost like a Bollinger Band. They snap. When it gets down here at the 30, it's got to get back to the 50. Everything's half and half here. So, I mean, where we saw the big sell-off right there at Christmas time, I mean, when we started to see the decline, and look at this decline here, I mean, everything was overbought. So it has to go down. Now we're getting into the areas down here at the bottom where it's oversold. So it's got to snap back up.
Yep. I heard something funny in regards to too many indicators today. Somebody was saying, like, if you have too many indicators on your chart and you wait for them all to line up perfectly, you're going to wait for a trade for the next 10 years. or you're always going to have a trade if you only take one at a time and you don't use them all put together. So
right. and you'll drive yourself insane over that.
Yeah, plus, like I was talking about this afternoon, if you put them too many indicators at the bottom of your chart, it kind of takes away your ability to see the depth of your price action on your real chart at the top. So then people sometimes miss certain patterns that they could see if they were a little bit zoomed out or they didn't have that many indicators. I see people with indicators taking 3/4 of the whole screen from bottom to top. I mean, how can you chart your price if you have it that way? So
Yeah, keep it simple.
Stupid.
yeah,
That's it.
the KISS principle, and to come back to what Rev was saying, when you want to try to find what works for you, for me, I use the RSI, the MACD, but I don't use the you won't see the lines, the signal lines on my MACD, because I just use the histogram to see if I have increase in momentum in the direction of the trend that I'm looking to go into, or if I'm losing momentum in the move that I'm into right now. That's all I use it for. And then I use patterns on the chart that I draw and the Fibonacci's. Now, could I add moving averages on there? Yes. Do they have their value? Sure. But for me, my 80/20, like where I can find the biggest bang for my buck, that I find personally is in those indicators. Now, Rev will use some others, and they also work well. So you kind of have to figure out what works best for you. And it could also depend what type of trading that you're doing, right? When you decide on those certain things. Now, if you look at the chart just now, because you wanted to kind of know how we did some Fibonacci work. So just a quick example here. So it was already on there, but I'll remove it. So this is a falling wedge pattern. So I'll just point this out. And basically, a falling wedge, the target would be the 618 normally, but you can adjust that how you want in your trading plan, but I'll remove it. Okay, so it looks like that when just looking at it without the fibs. So basically, to know what your resistance might be on the way up after you break out of this pattern, which is a bullish breakout pattern, you just go to your fib tool, which is in TradingView, basically the third sub menu, or you have your cursor, your trend line menu, and then your third menu. Fib retracement is about halfway down. So that's what you would choose. And then you go to the chart. Normally I want to start fibbing at where I started plotting my slope. So I could use this slightly higher high, or I could use where I start the pattern itself. So that's what I prefer doing because it's a bit more conservative. So here we go. So I just go from top to bottom, and then it gives me my line. So as you can see, it broke out the first time, hit that line right on the dot. I mean, you can't get much more exact than that. Then we'll see if we get another bounce. And these guys are things we see all the time and that most new traders don't wait for. So when you break any pattern or any support or resistance line, whatever the case might be that you're trading a breakout of, if you want to trade it safely and reduce your amount of losing trades, you basically want to wait for what I call a break, hook, and go. So it's basically you need a candle to break out of whatever slope you're trying to break out of or pattern. That candle needs to close out of that pattern. Then you need at least one candle to come back and test that line that you just broke through. And if it does respect it, and it just doesn't come right back in and close under it again, then you know that now that acts as your support, at least temporarily. And then the last signal that we wait for is a bullish candle formation. Now that could be an engulfing candle, and that's usually what we'll try to look for. And sometimes, like right now, I'm on a 1 hour chart. Well, I could also drop on a 30-minute to see if I may get that go candle a little bit quicker, because sometimes it'll take longer to show on a 1 hour, but it is safer to and more conservative, increases your odds of success if you wait for it on the longer time frame. But guys, when there's a breakout, that means that if you're using the 1 hour chart, then if you need at least 3 candles to happen, so the first one for the breakout, the second one for the hook, and the hook doesn't always happen right away. It could take a few candles, but if it happens right away and then on the next candle, your third candle, you get your go sign, that's at least 3 hours. So when we say you need to learn patience when you're trading, now of course you could drop the 30 and that would take an hour and a half, or you could drop to a 15 minutes and that would be 45 minutes. But even if you're on a 5 minutes, which I tried to discourage a bit because 5-minute charts don't have much significance in the grand scheme of things. But even if you're on there, it means that you have to wait 15 minutes after the breakout to really know if you can take that trade and have a high degree of success. So, I mean, we get traders all the time tell us, oh, well, there's a breakout. But guys, you have plenty of time to let this develop and confirm itself to you, and then ride it to the target. And our target in this case of a falling wedge normally, like I said, is around the 618 fib retracement that we just drew.
Yeah, speaking of falling wedges that are breaking out of those falling wedges, yeah, we have Vibe, right? If you want to move over to that one, and we also have Monero.
And guys, if we say they're breaking out, please don't jump on a trade. Once again, we have plenty of time, and if we miss a trade, there will be another one to be had. Don't worry.
Another opportunity to be able to get in on the trade for sure.
I mean, there's 1,500 coins or so in this market, and if it's not tonight or the perfect setup on one coin tonight, there'll be other coins, or there'll be tomorrow. Our jobs as traders is to minimize risk and preserve our capital so that, I mean, it's our trading ammo. If I blow my account, I can't make a living anymore. So, yeah, so basically you see here, we got our break. Now this is hooking and it's touching the line. And as you can see right now, it's bouncing and creating a slight wick. Now, this is an hour candle, so there's 27 minutes left in the hour, and then we need to see if we get our go sign with like bullish engulfing or whatnot. But if we drop to 30, I'll drop to 30 to maybe see what we're seeing there. So as you can see, we touched it twice. So now 2 candles that have hit the line, come back and hooked and respected it. So that's a good sign. But now we're waiting maybe for this candle to possibly make a bullish engulfing candle. And that could be a decent entry. But you can see that there's much more than just saying, oh, well, I'm going to put a pending order at the break of the line. And if you do it that way, you're probably just going to get faked out all the time.
It feels so good. Someone was asking about Vibe. They PM'd me, and they're saying, "Do we wait for the bullish engulfing?" It felt really good. Just knowing that.
There we go.
Yeah, man.
We got some champions out there already.
There you go. That sounds very promising right there.
So you agree with that whole approach, Rev?
Absolutely, 100%. And let me get on the same chart as you in real quick. Because I have a let me add that. There we go. Right now we're looking at the 30 minutes on Vibe. And with 25 minutes left to go on the 30 minutes, we got a little bull harami pin that just switched over to to a bearish pin. So we still got to wait for that to develop. And I'm showing my chart right now, and this is what I'm talking about. And you can see my little candlestick patterns right here that light up different, bearish engulfing and bullish engulfing. That's what he's talking about. He's looking for one of them pins right there. But this is still, and I'll mark this, it's still got to develop right here. So when he's talking about that, we're still 24 minutes away for it to finish its opening and closing wherever it's going to land. All right, so where are we at now? Which chart do we want to go to now?
How about maybe just because it looks pretty good, Monero?
Yeah, so XMR, guys. And tonight, just so that we keep the consistency, we're pretty much going to chart every coin on Binance as long as they're offered on that exchange. So if you're wondering or if you can't see where we're charting it, that's usually the idea.
All right, go Ray. Go Ray on XRM.
Okay, yeah, XMR. So, yeah, it's in a falling wedge, like multiple coins we've seen recently. I mean, every day we're finding them, and a lot turn out to be really good. So it's like a market-wide thing that's happening right now. But yeah, so I fibbed, I don't know, James, at like the 32,100 Satoshi mark, and brought it all the way down to my second plot would be 27,657 Satoshi. So yeah, we're like touching the 236 fib level right now. It's acting as resistance on mine, and we're looking for maybe the hook right now.
Okay, so guys, I'll show you something too, okay? So how to make sure that you have the right fibs, and that's what the market is respecting, okay? So as you can see where Ray basically fibbed, he could have basically started a little bit higher at that wick where his bottom slope starts at the very top, right? But look at how he has it drawn, how the fibs are respected on the way down. Like they touch him like almost exactly. Like look on the way down in the pattern. Are we still on Lord Ray's chart?
Yeah, I just switched back to him.
Okay. So yeah, you guys will be able to see that you get proof that those fibs are well respected by the market, because even though they're retracement targets or pullback targets when we break out of this falling wedge, look at how exact they were on the way down as well. So that proves to you that you drew your fibs well. That's a good indication. And see how they go from one to the other and respect them all the time, or maybe we'll pull back to a previous fib. I mean, how much more on the dot do you want those? Like Ray, maybe you could just highlight some exact touches there. I mean, they're all over the place, but
he has.
I mean, even at the 618 on the near your top slope. I mean, guys, they're all over the place. So and if he had moved his fib up a little bit at the top, maybe they wouldn't have been as exact. So is there a pure science as to, do you use the slightly higher top or do you use the wick or the body? I tend to say no. I know Rev likes to use, but although he doesn't use fib that much, but when he draws his patterns, he'll use the candles, and that's kind of a more conservative approach, because you're taking everything into account and you're making sure that you're including everything in your pattern.
Yeah, and let me explain why I do that, because you got your opening and close. That wick made a close or a open. I mean, and whether it's a body candle, it goes all the way up, or not a wick at all, it's telling a story, and that's a very conservative point on it. But I mean, it is telling a story there.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is definitely worth watching. I mean, hey, look, you know, a couple nights ago, we were looking at XLM. It looked just like this. And now look at it 2 days later. Oh, hi. So, you know, there's trends of the market that's going on right now. It's very easy to tell.
And if he was to pull that chart to the left and see where things were at in the past, and that's what we talk about in the past, where things go in the past. And he's shrinking his chart down. You know, this tells a story, and it tells a big story.
And yeah, if we want to talk about the past, let's use an example of a fib to know when our falling wedge could have stopped, like adding indication before we were sure it was stopped and was going to break out. Like just fib that last big leg up that brought us into the top of that falling wedge from bottom to top.
All right, whose chart we're going to be on? We're going to be on Ray's or yours?
Yeah, Ray's going to do it, I think.
Bottom to top, you said?
Yep, like with the leg up that brings you into the top of your falling wedge.
Talking like that, bottom to top.
No, squeeze it back a little bit.
The fibs, right?
Yeah, so from right there, that bottom.
Are we?
Right, so that's, I mean, that's pretty close. So, yeah, so from. Okay, so now go zoom in into your falling wedge again. And let's see if they respected them on the way down and approximately at what point did it stop falling. Now you had them right.
All right, so we get a lot of respect, supports, and resistances.
Okay, but I wanted you to keep the fibs to show that last leg up before the falling wedge and to go see where it had fell to before it turned around and broke out of that falling wedge. Do you know what I mean?
Probably, but yeah, you want to give it a shot?
Yeah, you had them just before.
Did I really? So yeah, like down here, right?
No, because right now you're fibbing your falling wedge, right?
Yes.
Okay, what I want you to do is erase those for now.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're good here, or
And to answer the question in live chat, one Natalie Jonas, people are saying that Bitcoin will hit 8K, 7K in a few days. I don't agree with that at all. Why, it's very possible. I just don't see it happen.
Yeah, I think we plotted that as a possibility, but I mean, it would take a lot of strength to push it at that point. Remember, guys, the lower we go in a downward trend, the more attractive the price becomes to new buyers. So, I mean, you kind of have to understand the dynamic of that eventually Bitcoin will become attractive at a certain price. And the lower we go, the more attractive it should be. So I think right now, because we still have a lot of people that were hurt from the drop or that are still holding positions that they're either in the red or going red, I mean, we're not getting that big push up, but it doesn't mean that it's not near. And I think Ray's trying to show us. Are you trying to show us the XLM, how it followed the fibs?
Yeah, I mean, I can just chart it. I mean, I didn't know what was going on a little earlier. I mean, just right here, just used it as resistance.
Yeah, and see how the guys, like we say a falling wedge, the 618 is your target. Well, look at what it did like within 5 hours on that chart. It went right to your target. And I mean, we're talking about a significant move here. Like, I mean, if you would have put your stop losses just below the lows of the wedge and use the 618 as your target, I mean, you could have set that target ahead of time, gone to bed, gone to do whatever you want, and your trade would have had a great reward to risk ratio, and it would have been completed on its own. And you had 3 opportunities, well, actually 4, to sell at that 618 before seeing the MACD divergence, the MACD losing momentum to the upside that we were seeing, and that Lord Ray is pointing to. And look at that. I mean, we even pulled back to the 50 a little bit to reload. And now we went, and because we had already broken out and tested the 618, where did we go next? And I mean, look, guys, there's 2 of them, and the wicks are touching almost to the exact Satoshi. So to those who doubt the fibs, I don't mind that you doubt them, but that's why we use them. So, but a lot of teachers or a lot of videos that you'll watch don't use them the right way, and or not with the right settings, or they're just not drawn correctly by the user. But after you've become proficient at that, I mean, we'll show you examples after example, night after night, if you want, and you will come to see that. I mean, you can believe in them or not, but I mean, they're there. So
Yeah, and Fibonacci is something that you can't ignore, and you know it's perfect math. Everything, architecture. I mean, just all kinds of things. But
yeah,
architecture just sticks out. You know, human anatomy sticks out to me. I mean,
the body is made
yeah,
with the fib ratios. I mean, we have plenty of examples of that, but it's everywhere in nature. But regardless, I mean, it works for me. It works all the time. So, and what I find that it helps a lot of traders do is establish a clear plan before they even enter the trade. And then if it hits a fib and you see it stall, you're not there fudding around and worrying about your position. You know, okay, it's stalling here, pulling back a little bit because it's hit a fib. Now, if you have no tools on your chart, you're going to start wondering about your trade and become uncertain. And then you're going to start making emotional decisions and things that you might not have thought that you would do when you first entered the trade, because you had the expectations and targets that we had set out. Now that's the thing. In this case, the trade continued. Now, I don't know if it's this trade, Ray, but I know that you had done a similar trade, and as soon as it had hit the first target, basically he took out 80% of his trade. He kept the 20% in case the trade was continuing up, and basically he, I think he was still in the trade with that 20% today. But I mean,
yes.
Yeah, for lens. So but this is the same example here at the 618, or even before, if you want to be conservative, you can take some out at the 50% fib retracement. And then you don't have to make that big decision and be super accurate about when the price might turn around, right?
And on this chart, on the Lynn chart here, he's being real tight on his marks here, where I take in consideration the wicks and
The wicks, and that would make
right.
it a symmetrical triangle instead, which would make more sense because normally what he drew is an ascending triangle, which normally breaks in the direction of the flat slope. So if he does use the wicks, then he becomes more of a symmetrical triangle. Symmetrical triangle, guys, if you want to know the difference, basically a symmetrical triangle has to have one of the slopes angling down and the other one angling up. So that's a symmetrical triangle. If you have two slopes going down like we had previously in the other previous pattern, that would be a falling wedge. That's the same thing. If the two lines are angling up and merged together, that's a rising wedge. And if you have, like you had earlier, your flat top and an angling slope on the bottom, that's an ascending triangle. And if the opposite is true and that bottom line is flat, and then you have a downward sloping line on top, that would be a descending triangle. Now, that too, patterns, we will eventually maybe make a session or a video that explains just those things. But we like to go through those things with you as they develop on a chart. We think it's really useful, and you can see real live examples as we go along. Now, a symmetrical triangle can break any direction, and we still want to kind of look for that break, look and go as well on that if we want to be secure. Now, if we were really an ascending triangle with that flat top like he had first drawn it, that normally breaks in the direction of the flat portion of the pattern. Not always, not 100% of the time. And look at other indications. Like in this case, since the symmetrical triangle can break any direction, if you take a look at the MACD at the bottom, the MACD histogram, the very bottom indicator that Ray has on his chart, you see, I mean, we're increasing the momentum to the downside. It made yeah, right? So that at first it's losing the momentum, and then after it changes to the negative side, it makes one low, and then it makes a lower low on the MACD histogram. So you just zoomed it out for you. So that's another indication. It just adds a little hint of where you might be more likely to break out of the pattern. And were we overbought or oversold? We were overbought. And if you would have gone and put this on a 30-minute, we were likely more overbought, right? And that's another thing. If you check charts, a good practice to have, or a good habit to have, is to go check at least two charts, at least two time frames, so that you have indications, because a coin can be way overbought or way oversold on a 5-minute or a 30-minute, but it's not yet overbought or oversold on a 1 hour, or even less on a 4 hour. So you got to take that into account, because the market, like, I mean, real floor traders don't even look at anything below a 1 hour chart. And most of the big patterns and trends are established on a 4 hour chart. And then you have your important support and resistance levels on the dailies and even weeklies. So, I mean, you want to take all that into account. It's not just looking at one thing.
And also, when Ray was marking on the RSI, you noticed that, that there's, you got the 60, and then you got the 40, and, the 50 sits right in the middle. While we're planing across that, no matter what time frame you're in, you're safe at that. That's what I call home base to me. And as long as we're staying in that area, which ain't never going to stay 100% at all times, because that's just not the way the market goes. And these marks, that he's marking on the screen right now is showing you exactly that they line up. Everything lines up. So that's the reason why we have to keep an eye. It lines up with the chart. It lines up with the volume, and it lines up with the histogram. I mean, the MACD.
We call that a confluence of indicators, guys. Like when everything lines up, that means you have confluence of indicators. And those are the setups that you're looking for. And you might not get those every hour or when you get to sit at your desk to trade and think you need to push the buttons. But if you wait for them, they work the majority of the time. So
All right, I'm getting a big thing. Everybody wants to see icon. If we can pull up icon, guys.
Is that I see it?
ICON. And we're not talking cups and handles because your mentor said so.
Wait, so it's ICX, right? I mean, like the ticker.
I'm thinking so.
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, yeah, we're looking at that. Hey, look! Oh my God! Like I was saying, the delayed hook and go, maybe falling wedge. It broke out. It hit that 618 level, and completely rejected it, and went back to test the top of the trend line of the falling wedge, and hey, gave us a big bullish engulfing candle. So it's pretty good.
I mean, guys, right? Like, look, how more accurate do you want a target to be? Like, it made it straight up there without one red candle after leaving that breakout, that pattern for the first time. Straight up, 5-6 candles, smack on target.
Yeah, looks like it's using the 382 as a support.
Yeah, I mean, right now the RSI is pretty much right smack in the middle. Your MACD is not showing you much either way, but technically the trade's already over for us, at least in the near term.
What we call out of the lane.
We also have a nice pattern on similar pattern on KNC.
All right, I'm on yours, James.
Okay.
You want to explain that one?
Yeah, so you can see the clear falling wedge again. Now, here's a way to kind of, so another example of the fibs. So I'll fib from bottom to top of the last big leg up, and look at where we're stalling again. And we respect them pretty accurately. And look at here, right, where we hit almost, whoa, that's way too big. Okay, let's try that again. Yeah, right here, right on the 618, which is used like so many times in the crypto world. It's insane. Like go practice fibs and just go fib stuff on previous charts, and you'll see those happen all the time. And then, yeah, we do come, well, first of all, we go back and try to test this slope, come right back in, and then we basically go test that 50 again, move back down to the bottom of the pattern, and now we're testing the top of the pattern. And we might test that 618 again. Now, again here, we're going to wait for a breakout, a retest of our top slope, and then we would be, when we've had that confirmed, or even now, we can start planning our trade, because you want to figure out if your trade makes sense ahead of time. So then if you think it's almost over, we can, for now at least, remove the fibs that I just drew. and then I would add the fibs from, and at least I'm going to use the bottom that's now there in evidence for now, but that can be temporary. Could be squeezed down further, but I'm still going to put it on so that I can prepare. And if I have to adjust it later, I will. That's one thing, guys, to always, guys and gals, to remember to do on your charts. I mean, don't be afraid to, if you have no new proof or if you think you made a mistake, that happens. So don't be afraid to change and adjust your technical analysis if you really have proof that you should. Now, don't adjust it to just fit what you're trying to do. Don't form fit it, but adjust it. So right now I'm going to use that bottom, but if ever it goes further down and it hasn't broken out yet, then I can adjust it and adjust my targets when it does break out. So as you can see right now, if we do break out and we go to the 618, what else is there that we had before? Another resistance here when it came right back, right? And even this one could be because it coincides with the 50 and a previous pivot point here during our downward falling wedge. But again, all these give you a plan for when you're going to take your trade. Anything else we want to look or questions to cover for right now, or?
Well, I don't really look at the Bollinger
I don't know.
Bands.
Can't.
I don't really look at the Bollinger Bands in prime scheme. I just don't do Bollinger.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, you see them a lot on charts, and that's something I did when I was a young trader. But I mean, to me, if you want to do small moves, that's pretty much what it tells you. Because basically, how the Bollinger Band is built is it calculates two standard deviations from the current price, and all that tells you is basically normally 95% of the price action is going to be happening within the Bollinger Band. So the idea behind them is that it might show you when certain moves are a little bit exaggerated and when they might pull back in a little bit. But that too, I mean, I've seen Bollinger Bands price stay out of Bollinger Bands and widen the Bollinger Bands for many candles in a row sometimes. So if you're just relying on that and not combining them with anything, well, it's like anything else. It reduces your probability of success.
And just a little quick note, everybody's talking about the resolution. The resolution is fine, right? If I switch over to mine, I'm going through Discord, so we're able to share their screens, and that's why it is a little blurry. But I'm, we're all on 1080p, but I mean, we're going through 3 different programs just to bring this to you, so we're able to share all of our screens. So it's going to be a little bit to the point there. Let's check on BNB, guys.
Yeah, I just saw that too, and I'm going to load it up. Yeah, and to touch on that same point, Rev, I think we're going to be looking, I mean, this is the first time we do it, but I mean, we're going to be looking at options to make this better quality, but we still wanted to try it out for tonight. So I hope you guys understand that.
Yes, and it's not this is not we got other things in the works, guys. So just bear with us.
Ray, do you already have a chart or? Sorry, I was looking at C&D for a sec. Yeah, it looks like a big downward channel, but maybe I'm wrong. Jeez, that would.
I'm seeing it. Jeez, it's either symmetrical triangle, but you don't have many anchor points, and if that's not it, it's a descending triangle. What you're drawing could be too. It's really touching that. And by the way, guys, this is a parallel channel tool in TradingView. So that is in the trend line section. So the menu, the second
Highlight
option.
over that in the toolbar for everybody to see.
Yeah, in that menu, parallel channel. So what that allows you to do, if you want to draw it live. So basically with that, it will allow you to choose at least 2 points, 2 anchor points on one side of a pattern. And by clicking on those, it will automatically extend the lines. Well, you can extend them yourself, but there's a formatting option in there to automatically extend them to the right or to the left. And what we do on that tool, if you want to go into your format settings, Ray, is we add, you see how the middle option is checked off? Well, that's what adds your red, what we call the 50% line or the equilibrium line. So basically that's 50% of the width of your channel that you just drew. So sometimes what that does is, let's say Ray only had one anchor point to draw is bottom slope, right? Which is pretty much the case that we see here. Now, the way he's able to see if that is the correct way to draw his channel is that you see how that 50% line is really, really well respected all the time. Well, that's a way to help you prove that that might be the way that you want to draw it, right? Now, that's not always 100% sure either, but it sure does add good indications that you're doing it right. And I can show maybe a little bit more zoomed in view, and when I think maybe another option. Do you want to?
Oh, okay. I didn't know whose screen we were on.
I've got James on now. I'll just switch to James.
Yeah.
Okay,
so you guys can see like pretty much the same downward slope, but I went and chose these 2 touches, including the wick here, but that goes way past it, probably a flash move. And then we get this touch here, this touch here, right? Now this would be a descending triangle. And I could also possibly see maybe some sort of head and shoulders, but it's not that clean. So
it's not defined, no.
No, exactly. So in this case, but regardless, right now it's, if you drop that down, right now I'm on a 4-hour chart. If I drop that down to an hour or 30 minutes, basically this whole thing has just been moving sideways all along here for the last 2-3 days. So I mean, we'll probably have to make it to the end of the triangle formation or a little bit further down into a raised channel. But regardless, if we're not in the trade, we're still waiting for it to tell us where it's going to go. It needs to break out, right?
We could just say this is not a good entry position for buying.
Yeah, it's basically right now we're still. And if we would enter right now, look at how like the potential resistance that you have either at the top trend wall or on my side of on the downward sloping. So I mean, you're taking a trade and taking a chance that it runs right into a wall right away, right?
That's the thing. If you're looking at like short-term time frames, like this move may have been like pretty significant if you're like zoomed in really close, but like if you pan out, I didn't even know it moved barely. I could barely even see it moved. So and I was looking at the 1 hour and 2 hour. So that's just like kind of,
Yeah. Even when I drop on a 1 hour, I don't see enough significance there right now. And even if I did, like if I draw a closer downward slope on top of all those tops there in the last leg down, I mean, even if I break that, I'm still going to have to run into that top trend wall that might be acting as resistance. So I think for me, for BNB, it's just nothing right now anyways.
All right, let's take a look at B-Chain.
Old Vin. Yeah, Old Vin was the darling of the past few days. It's been on one heck of a run. So, okay, yeah, wherever yours. Like, it looks like it made it back into that upward channel, right? Or is it just below?
The way I have it, well, I'll remove my fibs because they're from way back when, but other than that, you can see the clear pattern upwards, and we broke out of that, retested. Now we're trying to make a higher high after the retest, but to me, again, that's another one that would be probably hard to figure out or hard to be confident about.
Yeah. Do you want to zoom out and let everyone see kind of what's really happening, like all the way up? And you tell me if you'd ever want to touch this thing zoomed out like, 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, on the 4 hour or the daily. I mean, and that's another thing we talked about last night with everybody that was in our voice chat. I mean, a good tool to put things in perspective is the Live Coin Watch website, which is similar. If some of you don't know it, it's similar, and I'll put it on my screen. It's similar to the CoinMarketCap website, but you can add different things to the layout. So basically, if you go there to livecoinwatch.com, it will allow you, on top of the 1 hour and 24-hour percentage performance, it will allow you to add the 7-day and the 30-day. Well, if we do put VEN in there, or if I go looking for it, so there it is, right, on my chart. So right now, doesn't look like it's had a big move today, even down slightly. In the 1 hour, not much, close to 1%. But the last 7 days, it's had a 63% move upwards. And if you pan out to the 30-day, we're looking at a 438% move. And that's after it had a slight pullback in the last few days or so. So, I mean, that puts things in perspective. And that's something I think that a lot of us could have used when things were getting a little bit crazy in the up run at the end of last year. I mean, for example, a coin like Tron, if you would have seen that it would have already gone up 1,000% in 1 month before it made it to 30 cents, it could have changed your perspective as to where you were actually buying in the grand scheme of things. So I think that's a good tool to keep an eye on when you're trying to enter positions.
Yeah, you could also just look at the moving averages on the 4 hour or the 1 hour for Tron. I mean, if you know the rule of equities always want to come back to those moving averages, you would have never touched this thing. But hey, 30 cents, no big deal, right? That's cheap, right?
Yeah, well, that's FOMO right there. So
$5, man, like in 1 week from now.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what I was hearing. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So guys, when we talk about price targets, always go put it in perspective as well. We had that exercise with a few of our patrons on the last few nights that we did voice chats, and basically, for example, and I don't want to point anybody out. I think we've all made that mistake at some point, but it got brought up that, let's say, Litecoin should have been a quarter of the price of Bitcoin, right? Well, so we asked and discussed together if we meant that Litecoin should be a quarter in coin value or in market cap. And so he wanted us to try to decipher what it would mean if Litecoin would be at a quarter in coin value. Well, if, let's say, we'll use it just for a rough example, that Bitcoin is at 20,000, and I know it's not, and that means that Litecoin should be at 5,000. Well, there's 54 million Litecoins in circulation, and if that's the case, that was bringing up the market cap of Litecoin, if we were using that price prediction, to $270 billion. Now that, guys, makes it like the top 10 biggest company in the world. Now, I'm not sure about you, but I don't think Litecoin should be anywhere near in the top 10 producing companies in the world, or in value. I mean, yeah, some of those companies have a lot of great potential and will bring a lot of great things and probably will eventually make a lot of money. But I mean, if you really think about it objectively, I mean, sometimes we start to see, and we had a good example with Ripple, of how things can get exaggerated when we get these kinds of run-ups.
And I think we have lost our compadre Ray.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think he's dropped out. His Discord might have crashed.
Okay, well, I mean, we can... yeah, he's back on.
Sorry, my Discord froze.
That's all right. And
XLM's breaking out.
Wow. And looking at my chart, it's flipped upside down on your screen over there, so I don't know what's up with that, but I thought that was kind of weird. But I wanted to show y'all that chart, so we'll just click back over to this chart here. But anyways, this is a chart that I use during trades like this when something gets hot. And this is from our old buddy Blue Chips No Dip. I kind of like this chart if I'm trading in a channel, and I'll use this chart right here. And this, if anybody wants to get that chart from me, just join us over there in the Discord channel. I'll be glad to share it, and I'll share it with you guys. I don't know if y'all have this chart or not, but once we get done with it.
Same thing, guys, like everything like that we did with the fibs tonight. Like, I have certain settings. We've shared those in the Discord platform, and so they're accessible there for you if you want. So feel free to come and ask for those, or come and find them.
Okay, I think somebody wants to see what, let's see if I got this right here.
So yeah, we have passed the 786 fib level, and probably the target is up here, which is going to be like 4769 sats.
That would be kind of creating a double top if it does reach there and stop. And then, do you have the fib extensions on too, Ray?
I do not.
You didn't copy my settings?
Has anybody got a link?
I can check it.
Let's check link. There's some people asking about link. My favorite, and you do have it up on Bibs, so.
Yeah, we had already analyzed it a few times today. We were just waiting for it to basically break, hook, and go out of the falling wedge.
Yeah, so it's still there. It's hooked, and now we're just waiting on the 1 hour for.
Yeah. So, are you looking at the Ray's chart or my chart?
I'm looking at your chart.
Okay, so if you guys can see, so we broke out, came back in. This one closed in, so now we had to break back out again. But now the last two that touched respected it. They didn't close below the breakout line, but we didn't also get any bullish formation there to let us know that it was over. And it does happen most often that breakouts will come and retest, but slightly lower. That's usually how they happen. And that's good because it kind of gives you, first of all, a confirmed support and a better entry price. So when it does go to target, instead of buying from here, you buy from here or somewhere around there. So it gives you even more profit when it reaches target.
And we see it hovering right now on the RSI on the 60-minute at 50. So
yeah.
But everything, I mean, this is what I call my next ripple. I think Link will replace Ripple eventually, but that's just my opinion.
Do you mean like in terms of performance or the actual like problems that they solve and fundamentals of it? Yeah. I just think personally, I think we need to get back a lot of enthusiasm in the market before we see those types of run-ups again. But I mean, yeah, in sometime in the future, I'm sure you're probably right about that.
But my opinion on that, I mean, and it's strictly my opinion, is that, you know, decentralized versus centralized. I mean that's my biggest factor on that.
Yeah. So for those who might not know the coin, Rev, do you want to touch on a couple of things that are maybe its strong suits?
Well, I just think that, you know, with everything that Link, and hold on, let me pull up my little thing on that. Go ahead and touch on it some, and I'll be right back with you.
Talking about Ripple?
Both Link and Ripple.
Well, yeah, Ripple is just essentially a global banking solution. So it's a breakthrough for transferring money from one institution to another institution. It's pretty much currently the absolute fastest way to do it. Essentially, the bank would buy the Ripple coins, the utility tokens is what they're called, and then they would transfer those utility tokens over to another, virtually overseas to London from New York. And those guys, that bank in London, would then sell the Ripple coins and get their cash. And that completes the transfer. And it just pretty much encrypts and protects all that money and does it in record speed.
And with Link, it's solving the connectivity problem under a smart contract. I mean, you know, for markets, the different markets, events, retail payments, you know, like PayPal, Visa, bank payments, just all kinds of different things that is lacking of the external connectivity due to the method which consensus is reached around the blockchain transaction data. And it's going to be a problem for everybody, and Chainlink kind of solves this problem. And it's built on the Ethereum platform, and uses Hyperledger and Bitcoin as well. So I mean, there's just so many things, and I'll post a link in the chat if y'all want to go and look at it, and it'll help you understand where I'm coming from versus the two.
Yeah,
Yeah,
did you agree?
I think something that I heard too about Ripple is that a lot of the times the banks don't even actually use the tokens, but they actually use kind of the technology or the protocol behind it. Um, so I don't know if that's something that you guys had touched on or that you had heard about that too. So
Well, yeah, they're using the coins as utility, and when they have them, like that money worth of Ripple coins, you know how $10 million worth of Ripple coins, it's now like protected, encrypted, and then sent over. And so they're just like buying and selling those coins. They're just using them. And that's why it's kind of, when you're talking about investing in Ripple, when you're investing in utility tokens, when there's literally billions of them, it's hard to, I just don't know. You know, you're investing in a company on the stock market, and those shares are worth a price. There's a finite supply of them. The company makes money and then gives it the money back to the shareholder, and that's how the stock price goes up. But with Ripple coins, when there's billions of them, they're just used for banking transactions. It's tough for me to not be cynical about it being a long-term investment.
yeah. And did you guys touch on the fact that a lot of the creators or governors of the company own most of the coins, right?
That's what I don't like about Ripple. And I got in. I scooped up at. I didn't quite get in as early as I wanted to, but I scooped up at 40 cents. So and I knew right off the bat that it was going to be a short-term venture there.
Yeah,
Oh
I think I jumped in I scaled in between 60 and 70 some cents, and I got out in between 250 and 3, both on the on the upswing, and then when we were coming back. So it's still like a four times the like 400% gain, right?
I killed it. I just killed
fun.
it. I mean, I got in at 40 and I got out at like 285. So I killed it.
Awesome.
Thank you. It was like CNBC, man. It was like this like collective effort to get it pumped to like unseen levels, and then it just dumped.
Yeah, and that was the time that they were starting to have like Bitcoin days or crypto days and coverage on CNBC, but they had covered Bitcoin so much during the run up, and now it was kind of stagnating or starting to pull back. And then they started just bringing Ripple people on there almost every day.
Oh, then what about the rumors, man, about going to Coinbase? And then John McAfee.
Yeah, to me, that was a funny one for Ripple. I thought it was going to go there. And I think the reason they decided not to do it is because the last coin that they had added, I think it was Bitcoin Cash, created, like, they did it in such a wrong way. And on top of that, there was rumors that they had done insider trading or some of their employees. So I think they had plans to do it or add other coins, maybe not Ripple, but I think they had to take a step back because they were getting so much backlash on the last one they had added. So that was my analysis or perspective, if you wish.
Yeah.
That, and, McAfee is just, well, I won't even get into him tonight.
We don't want to get you revving, Rev.
No, definitely not tonight.
I mean, his tweet, it's getting released. Oh, I was hacked. Like, okay.
Yeah, I'm just waiting. I'm going to pull up a chair in 2020 if I'm still on Earth. And, if it don't hit his mark like he said it would, $1 million, and then, I'm going to be sharpening the knife for him.
Yeah, because he upped that dare that he would do, eh?
Yeah.
So what's Ripple's market cap now?
Market cap is
54 billion.
Think about that, man. Like, it was over like 115 billion in the number 2 spot at a time at its peak.
Yeah. And to me, like that same week when it made its highs, I mean, the founder, whoever the guy that owned more Bitcoin, Ripples, I mean, he had temporarily, if you counted coins that were not in circulation into the market cap calculation, he was basically the richest man in the world. Now, for what, right? Like,
yeah, Garlinghouse.
Yeah, I mean, or the other co-founder. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. One of them was said to be the richest man in the world. Now, when I start seeing things like that, I mean, that seems like frenzy to me.
Well, here's my take on things, you know, and a lot of people, and I'm gonna switch gears, I should say, a lot of people don't realize that how much stuff is built on the Ethereum platform. Okay, I foresee by the end of this year, along with several other people in the world, that Ethereum takes over Bitcoin. What's your thoughts on that?
It's so hard to say. It's very speculative. I mean, it's a possibility because of its practicality.
Well, look at everything that's built on it, though. I mean, that's my whole take behind it.
On what, Ethereum or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I compare all this revolution a bit to the internet, right? I mean, we saw a lot of companies that were leading and that were innovators in the first steps of the internet. We had a bubble, the dot-com bubble. It burst. Some companies got complacent or their products weren't really the best. And then they got replaced by the companies we have now. And that might, I mean, some might like some of the first coins might improve, or their product might already be good enough to survive long term. But the likelihood is that somebody else will come along with something better. So, and I mean, we're already seeing that happening all the time. I mean, they're releasing new coins every day, right? And it doesn't mean that because it is possibly a bubble or that it could burst, that the technology is not here to stay. We had a massive crash in the dot-com bubble, and the internet is still here today, and it's more prevalent than ever. And, I mean, it's the same thing, right?
Well, absolutely. Yeah, but you know, the biggest thing to think about is in this market, it's kind of like it's like the dot-com bubble, because like, what was it? People were buying up domain names, and then they were the founders of those domains and stuff, and so then people would just throw money at them, and they wouldn't do anything to develop the company. And it's the same thing that's going on right now. Like we have no idea. There's so many coins that come out like every week, and just because they get money.
That too is like the dot-com bubble, right? I mean, if you owned a domain back then, you didn't even have to have a business plan, a website built, even offices. Some people were moving into their offices, didn't even have the boxes unpacked, and Wall Street
was set up in business and ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, they were raising hundreds of millions of dollars, and I mean, I'm not saying that there's not some good coins in here, but there's a lot of these coins that are pretty much the same way as what we saw back then. So, I mean, it's a new market, it's a new industry. I mean, there's going to be some cleansing out at some point. So that has to happen to have a stronger foundation.
But just, want to be sure that you have an overall portfolio with your holdings of stocks, mutual funds, ETFs. You don't want to have much percentage of your overall portfolio in crypto, just because most of these concepts don't make any money. Now, if you look at like BNB, they actually make money off like fees, exchanges. Those are things you want to look at for long-term plays.
All right, let's take a look at and guys in live chat, if y'all want to see a coin here, we're gonna see if we can ramp this up a little bit. But I have a request for Neo, and then I'm surprised nobody's asked about my two favorite coins, Verge and Tron.
Oh,
Yeah, nobody's asked about that yet, but
I guess
I'll offer that up there.
they're not high enough yet. So
Yes, yeah, something.
Nah,
But
they're just forgotten enough to when no one talks about them anymore, that's when they're gonna explode back up, and then the FOMO will start again. Yeah, but like with Neo though, it had a pretty big diamond top reversal pattern, which I don't have charted, but it's now in this pretty long downward channel, and it's at the top of that channel right now. But it's
yeah, to me, like I had it charted way back. Like, I just opened my chart, and I don't even remember the last time I charted this, but I had it in a big uptrend with certain zones within that trend, and had drawn a bull flag here right in the middle, and it reached the top. Then I fibbed it, and look at it where it came right back down to, right, the 382, and it's been resisting that so far, and now we're seeing the MACD momentum starting to point upwards, right? So right now, either we make a triangle pattern there, and we're gonna have to see a breakout out of that. Yeah, that's hard because
and
I
guys,
use
that tool that he's using right there is a rate tool.
say my name.
No, I was talking about the line that he was making.
I'm almost thinking, I don't know if I could use this and make a descending triangle. I don't know what you would think about that.
I mean, that wick was a huge exaggeration. So I mean, it's always something you can at least explore as an option.
Right, but to me, again, it's doing a lot of the things that we've seen in a few coins tonight. It's just like slowly moving sideways, slightly downwards, and losing momentum. And so we'll get here to the breaking point, and the market will have to make a decision. Keep in mind, this is a 4-hour chart, so I mean, unless it really pops up or pops down, there's still if it goes sideways, there's at least like a day's worth of candles still before we hit that downward slope or the end of the pattern. And if we drop to 1 hour, maybe we could gain a bit of accuracy.
That's really narrowing it down right there. So
Yeah, I mean, then again, like worst case, you could use a parallel channel in this little last part. That's not what I want to do. Oh yeah, I just have to remove a few settings. And see, so I can't really use these as anchor points. So what I'm going to do is instead of trying to use the top, I'm now going to use the bottom, because on the bottom it seems like I have more lined up anchor points that I can use. And then I'll either do this. I'm thinking this has more proof for now. And then I'm just going to go remove the extend to the left because I don't need it to the left. And so as you can see, and look again, like if I zoom in, right, see again how this helps me prove that this is my equilibrium in the middle of this sideways channel, or flag if you wish. And normally a descending channel like that, or slightly angling channel like that to the bottom after a downwards move, is usually an indication that we might break up to the top. I don't know what you guys think about that.
oh, I agree 100% there. Explain for our audience here again what the pre-equilibrium is.
Okay, yeah. So basically, when you see how I drew the parallel channels, so the lines that create my sideways channel, and that can be used like for a sideways channel, a trend. and I'll show it again to show you exactly how it works and how it's drawn. So basically, you go in the trend section, you choose the parallel channel, you click on one spot, you drag it, and you line it up with your other anchor points. And by anchor points, I mean pivot points where you can see there's actually like reversal points, kind of, right? So I do that, and then it'll give you the option to just slide your mouse any way on the chart, and basically you only have to go to one point and click, and that sets it there. Now, the red dotted line in the middle is what we call an equilibrium line. It's basically at 50% from the, like if the height of your channel was, let's say, 100 satoshis, well, that would be exactly at 50 satoshis from the top and 50 satoshis from the bottom. So it's just the 50% of the width of the channel. And the way you add it on there, if it's not on there already, it normally doesn't default in TradingView. You would just right click on one of the lines that you drew, and you would go to your format area, and you would add the middle options. You would just check that off. And if, let's say, you don't want the lines to go all the way across your chart, either to the left or to the right, or if you do, these are the options where you could put them in or take them out. And you can make that line a solid line, a dotted line, whatever you want. You can make it thicker or thinner. I mean, it doesn't really matter. So, so that's how we use that.
Hey, I don't want to be that guy, but Vibe might be approaching a bullish engulfing candle after the hook.
So why do you say you don't want to be that guy? You've waited for your trade. That's okay.
I do want to be that guy. I was just kidding.
Okay,
I love being that guy.
Explain what you're talking about now, because I'm trained on your screen.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so here we are. Vibe. We've been watching it closely. Falling wedge. It broke out for an hour, and then it had 1 hour where it hooked. It touched this level as support, and now this candle opened here, and it's been running the whole time, and actually wicked up, and it's back down to this level. We've got 18 more minutes left. So if we can get a closed candle above this level of the previous candle, and that is an incredible confirmation of a breakout.
That is Vibe on which time frame, Ray?
1 hour.
1 hour.
Okay.
Okay, one more request, and we'll soon wrap this up, and you can meet us all over in the Discord channel. Let's take a look at Tron, guys.
Oh, we saved the best for last, or what?
Absolutely.
It looks like almost like a descending triangle, maybe.
And Tron, by the way, has done falling wedge after falling wedge after falling wedge recently, except it seems that every time
stumbling over itself. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was about to say. Every time it does a falling wedge, it seems to have less of an impulse to it. So it is what it is.
Which screen are we on right now?
We're on yours.
Okay, yeah, so falling wedge, huge falling wedge, and that falling wedge started like the 5th of January. Tron to the moon, FOMO, Justin Sun's gonna rule the world, Emperor of China. And
I love it.
Then we broke out, and we bled out the worst kind, the poor bag holders. Then we reached the end of this falling wedge, and now we broke out again. We had a lower high, which is overall, that's not good. It's pretty bad. And then we did it again. We had a smaller breakout, so we had another lower high, which is really bearish. I mean, it's not good. So now we're making this like kind of symmetrical, descending triangle move right here. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I have my bottom slope like I'm way more zoomed in on the 1 hour, and I think it's pretty accurate. And it seems like I mean, there's a slight angle to my bottom slope to create the triangle, so I can't really call it a real perfect descending triangle. So I would call it either symmetrical or pennant.
And let me add something there, Ray. If you'll pull back that bottom line that you were just adjusting, and pull it back to that low right
Like
there.
to the bottom of that previous big wedge.
Yeah. And that's a little bit bigger of a picture right there. So
Further to the left, that right at the bottom of that previous wedge we had broken out of. Yeah, I don't know if you changed it, but
he did. He's in the neighborhood now.
good enough.
Now,
All right,
now
so
look.
it's symmetrical.
Now look where it's heading on the 618. If you look at it real close right there, zoom in a little bit. There you go. See, it's forcing.
Yeah. And look at how it respected the fib just above that, like, and then wicked right back in. I mean, those fibs don't lie.
You're not messing around, man.
Sorry, I cut you off there, Rev.
No. I mean that's what I was talking about. I mean it's not telling a lie. But as we're talking about this is not good, people are in chat saying drawn to the moon.
Yeah, sure.
Oh well, they can get on the rocket, whatever. It's up to them. It's their money.
Yeah, but I'd rather go to Mars and send them a link back, and instead of driving around with a Lambo, I'm gonna drive around in a wreck coin. Oh shit, I can't think of the name now.
What, a
Range
Tesla?
Rover. Range
Oh,
Rover.
Range
That's
Rover.
what. Yeah, I want a Range Rover.
See, my I'm not that greedy, not at all actually, and so my special car would be a Tesla. But hey, not as sexy, but it's
I'm with
it's
you
a
though,
pretty
brother.
fine
It's
car.
to me, it's sexy.
I think so. And is it the fastest car on the road nowadays? Like with the system they have, like I don't remember what it's called, but
The go to sleep system is what I call it.
All I know is that Tesla has an NVIDIA GPU in it, so go team.
But there you go. As you can tell, Ray and James have done an excellent job tonight, guys. And and there's your Tron zoomed out, so it's stumbling over itself. And just for shits and giggles, let's pull up Verge, my other shitty coin that I hate. Oh my God! Somebody actually charted on Verge. Are you
I think
kidding
I
me,
got
Ray?
dropped temporarily too, but I'm back. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so hey, look, symmetrical triangle and broke down out of it. Tested support, kind of double, triple, whatever you want to call it, quadruple bottomed or something. Now it's like trying to test this 236 level. It's failing, it's wicking right now, but hey, we got like 12 minutes left before we know if it's going to break here or not. But hey, it's seeing it as a resistance. That's certainty.
you're looking at Verge, right?
Correct.
But momentum's kind of looking okay, but I don't know. It's price action. It's not moving much.
And it's funny because if you look at the RSI, it's supposed to be indicating that it's gaining strength. And I mean, if you look at the price action, it's not really showing us that at all. Well, I mean, on a smaller scale, it might be, but
Look
Yeah,
at the volume. There's no volume there.
yeah. Well, if someone's like zoomed in and they're not like taking into account large time frames, they might be like, "Dude,
Yes,
look,
somebody let us know. Somebody let us know what I meant for the Tesla. That was the mode. It was the ludicrous mode.
Yeah,
And
ludicrous mode. Yeah.
yeah, I guess those are just crazy. Thanks for that, Jason.
All right. So we got this. If y'all want to join us over in the Discord channel, we'll be there for a little bit. But we're going to wrap this up right now. I'd like to thank my guests, Laura Lee and Lord Ray, also known as James and Mitch. You can catch them in the Discord, just like you can me at any given time of the day. We're part of the Hopped On Crypto crew and Hopped On Crypto Discord. Guys, we really appreciate you showing up tonight. We do have tip jars in the Discord, and we do have tip jars right here underneath Rev's description here. And I'm sorry I didn't put them in there, but if you leave us a tip, I'll make sure that I share with these guys. They've done an excellent job on tonight, and this is first of many to come. We appreciate everybody showing up, and I'm going to have to take the Crayolas away from Ray.
Pac-Man.
Because he is doing a Pac-Man on Verge. But that's just too funny. But be sure to like and subscribe to the video and click the old bell thingy there. And we appreciate all the mods, Alan, Lando, Scott LaRock, everybody, you and everybody on the crew here and helping us put this particular stream together and every other stream that we do. We're going to be, I guess, guys, Alan, if you're out there listening, pop into this thing one more time before we get out of here. If you'll pop in over here back on the channel, please. If you are listening, come back in, Alan. Let me swap screens back here to what I need to do.
He's looking at mining equipment.
Oh.
He's gone shopping.
Yeah.
Well, he needs to get off of mining equipment and come join us in this Discord, please. Alan.
Guys, you want to...
Lando, come in.
Oh, he's here.
Oh, there he is. Alan.
Hi.
Time to put you on the spot again, buddy, as usual. You know me.
Oh, boy. Here we go again.
All right. So give everybody a rundown on where we're at on the Hopped On Crypto Discord and website and everything. Just throw it on out there, buddy.
Oh, yeah. You're putting me on the spot, all right. No, so we really appreciate everybody. We got our intro video out there now on the Hyped On Crypto YouTube page. Make sure you like and subscribe that page as well. Maybe somebody can put the link in the chat or something. But so we got that out. We're working on some content. I know that all of you guys here are working on some videos and whatnot. We're looking to do more of these kind of style live streams. So stay tuned for that kind of stuff. The website's going well. I don't have an exact launch date. We've been put back a little bit because of the articles. So we're just kind of finishing that up, making sure that it looks good, make sure the resources are on there that need to be on there. And so we'll kind of go from there. But the Discord, we're sitting at about 1,400 members, which is great. We haven't really done any kind of, advertising or anything like that yet. So we just want to get the content out there. So I think it's gone pretty well. So
hang on a second, Ansel. I'll give you permissions where you can do that. Just hang on a sec. Go ahead, Alan. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, we're looking at doing some podcasts and stuff like that. The biggest thing is we want to bring content to everybody, whether it be beginner content or advanced content. So, that's kind of our motto there. We want to help that person that's just coming into crypto or the person that's been in crypto for a while. So, yeah, that's kind of a rough draft there, but more to come for sure. We're early stages, so.
And Ansel, don't feel left out. I do mention you. I say everybody. So, but Alan, where we at on numbers? I hate to sound like a Naeem, but we're doing pretty good, ain't we?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, 1,400 in Discord. And that's without advertising really heavily. So, I mean, it's climbing daily. And once we start getting content out there to you guys, we're going to have more of those static videos and more videos for, the YouTube traffic, I guess, to see. So, definitely. Yeah, it's growing every day, and, we can't do it without you guys. So, a special thanks to Rev and James, Mitch. We really appreciate you guys. So,
a pleasure to be here. And guys, even though there's not a lot of static content, I mean, we will do those live streams like we did tonight, and we do this kind of talk live with all the members on Discord right now. So if you need help with anything, you want us to go through anything with you, I mean, we're there pretty much all the time, at least some of us at different parts of the day. And I mean, if you see any value, I mean, we're not doing advertising right now, like Alan said, but if you guys see any value in what we do and you like it and you think anybody else could benefit from this, I mean, feel free to spread the word and bring people in. I mean, we love having more of you around. It makes the sessions better. We get different perspectives, different questions. So it's an overall benefit for everyone.
And we're going to be doing the podcast and everything coming up here real soon. I mean, we're all part of this. Each one of us will be doing, and we'll support each other in doing this on streams and everything. We're going to get the Hopped On Crypto stream up there, and get these videos shared, people. I mean, we really appreciate that. I appreciate it. And the neat thing about it is, look, you ain't got to pay $1,000 and be labeled a ruby or a diamond or emerald or anything. This content is brought to you by us for free. Not saying that, we wouldn't care for a tip, because we're like any other circus monkey. We will do tricks.
Well, that's one way to put it.
I thought you'd get a laugh out of that.
Yeah, I was gonna keep my mic muted, but I just had to laugh a little there.
If we just could have hit cut right there.
Yeah, so we really appreciate it, guys. And like they said, they're always on Discord most of the time. And Rev's got his own little corner there, and then there's the traders, or the Apex trading, with the traders talk. So yeah.
And like today, we had a real good discussion going on, and I mean, and we invite people in there. Don't come in there and expect to get every answer answered, and you not done your homework. I will throw that out there. And come in there if you're going to post something. These guys in their area, and I think I'm going to start doing it in mine. If you post a chart up, or you're talking about a chart or whatever, you're going to put it out there. You're going to put your chart out there, so you can start learning how to use your own methods and not just go off of ours. So, I mean, I think the rest of them have the same mindset as me, and and don't be offended if we come off a little brandish or whatever. We're just here to help y'all learn and make better decisions. But at the end of the day,
and eventually drive Lambos.
Yeah, Yeah. And,
Well, we want to give you the fishing pole so you can catch the fish. And so, like, hey, while we're here teaching you how to fish, we're going to catch some fish together, right? Like so we saw tonight. Bye.
We've been doing that for the last 2 weeks, almost catching live trades, and it's been doing good. So,
absolutely. But once again, guys, I appreciate y'all. I'm going to wrap up the stream here. Catch us over there in the Discord channel once again, and I appreciate everybody showing up tonight. And we're gonna end it up right here, guys. Appreciate y'all. Do it and join us. Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, hit all the buttons down in the description if you don't mind, please. We got Facebook, we got Twitter. Follow me on Twitter and everything. But we really appreciated you guys showing up tonight, and I think it was really great. Once again, I'd like to thank Larley and Lord Ray for joining me tonight. And like I said, we'll be doing many of these in the future. But once again, get hyped on crypto, everybody. You know me, at the end of the night, I say peace.